Here we go. So guys, a slightly different video. So I was actually going to drop one video today, which I'm dropping later, which is me speedrunning a tier in clutch time. So I won those 3 games. If you watched a video yesterday, bit of a spoiler, but it's a fantastic video. The best comeback and the most toxic I've been for a long time in a video. It was quite funny. So go watch that if you haven't. But we speedrun clutch time later. So we're going to try and do the other 7 games. No spoilers for that. You'll have to see how it goes. But I was only going to drop one video today, but I felt the need to drop another one because this is just something that's been on my mind for a while. And definitely in the last few days, I've started to think about more and more and more, right? So this year, 2K22 has had a lot of wins. In fact, I've got a video coming up soon of 25 improvements that 2K22 has made over 2K21. But there's one that's so significant and so important that I just think it deserves its own video. And like I said, it's just something I've been thinking about for a while. Before I get into this, guys, please like and subscribe. Thank you to everyone who's shown support since I came back to making content. I appreciate you guys so much, like so much. I really appreciate it. All the comments and likes, everything, the views, whatever you're doing to support me, just trust me, I appreciate it. Right, let's talk about this then. So, one of the things over the last couple of years in particular has been the meta, right? You know, it just becomes, certainly at this point in the year, it just becomes about hype, right? If you're not running a 6'10 point guard, you're probably going to get popped. If you're not running a 7'6 center, you're probably going to get popped. And that's what it's been for years and years. This year, it just isn't the case. And it's so far not the case that I watch content creators create tier lists and things like that, and I agree with none of them. This year, in particular, you can think for yourself in a way you have never been able to before. Let me put this in perspective for you, okay? So, I do get influenced by content, and a lot of us do. So when I watch like a point guard tier list, so let's just look at the point guards, right? When I watch a point guard tier list, there's certain point guards that everyone raves about, right? MJ, for example. He is the best point guard in the game, probably. Consensus, right? Consensus-wise, best point guard in the game. Then Luka comes after that, right? Then you've got Simmons. These 3 are really considered the top 3 point guards in the game. So if I told you this, you've watched my gameplays recently, right? I'm not comp at all. I'm not a comp player in this game. But I speedrun Triple Threat, 10-0. No spoilers for tonight, but I'm doing very well in clutch time as well. Like, I haven't lost a game of Limited this season. I'm doing very well. And up until about 3 or 4 days ago, my point guards were Ben Simmons and Luka. In fact, I was running Ben at the 1 and Luka at the 2. And Luka I'd used on and off I actually sold him a couple of times, bought him back. I was using him for a while, and I was kind of Luka made, right? I was that guy who would just pull the trigger with Luka from anywhere and get threes. And then I realized like it wasn't working as well as it used to. It's time to mix it up. It's time to try something different. And I started using Oscar Robertson, right? As my point guard. And suddenly I realized one thing. Oscar was getting me more stops than Ben was. Now, Ben's only real upside is his defense, his size, his length. Now, if you're comp, that's important. If you're not comp, it's not important. When I say comp, I mean 0.1% players. Not that guy who completes unlimited every season and thinks he's comp. I'm talking about truly comp players. Right? I complete unlimited. I'm not comp. I'm not. I'm good. That's it. So it just doesn't matter as much for 99.9% of players. And Oscar was getting me more stops than Ben. He just was. I don't know what it is about this card. I've spoken about it before. He's just really bumpy. So I prefer Oscar to Ben. And I'm not one of those guys who just thinks it's cool to not use meta cards. I genuinely prefer using Oscar to Ben. And then, just because I did a gameplay, I used this Steph Curry. I used the hero one, not that one. Anyway, yeah, this one. So I used the Steph Curry and absolutely fell in love with the card. Like, yes, Luka can basically hit from anywhere. What Luka's really good at is hitting bad shots, right? Not getting space, like being cramped and just putting up a shot and it going in. Which doesn't make you better at the game. You know, when you then have to use other cards and limited or whatever, suddenly you're struggling. Then I used Steph, and his movement and his ability to get open was giving me better looks and better shots than I was getting off with Luka. And I was winning way more games. Like, my win percentage has gone through the roof on all modes because I'm using Hero Steph Curry, who is a 6'3" point guard. But because of his animations, because he's got the Curry slide, it's just so easy to get open. He moves, his speed compared to someone like Ben. It's just two different worlds. So we are, this year, very much in just a completely different trajectory in terms of what meta is. To the point where I think anyone who's watching like tier list videos, I am going to do tier list videos because I think there are so many point guards in A tier. If you wanted to argue Penny was the best point guard in the game, no one's going to argue with that. No one should argue with that. You might have a different opinion, but you can't tell that person they're wrong. LaMelo gets some of the best defensive animations I've ever seen in this game. Watch my gameplay from yesterday where he gets a chase down block on Kevin Garnett. There's a whole host of players here, guys. This is just point guards we're talking about. This is just point guards we're talking about. Well, there's a bunch of players you can choose to use. You know, Six-Man Sam loves that Lillard. Fine, if you can use him and get open with him, there's no reason not to use him. If you want to use Magic, fine. There's so many arguments for who the best point guard in the game is. And it really comes down to you, what you like to do, what your skill level is. There is no consensus. The majority of tier lists, the majority of like general consensus videos that this is the best point guard in the game are aimed at 0.1% of players. Because they can't give up that advantage against elite players, because that's who they're playing. Comp means you're playing another elite player. You two have decided to play each other with a competition or a tournament or a wager or whatever. So you have to get, you know, every advantage you can within that meta. But if you're not playing within that meta, and yeah, you might run into a comp player now and then online, but how often does that happen realistically? Not very. So really, you've got to think about how am I going to beat the other 99.9% of players? And the answer is using players that you're more comfortable with. That's it. And it's just made this year fascinating. Because there's layers to this. Like, just going back to, let's do this on shooting guards. There's so many layers to this, right? You've got Invincible Kobe. You could argue he's the best shooting guard in the game. People will love this Joe Johnson. There's people that would argue that. I really like the hero Kobe. I've used him a few times as well. That's an argument you could definitely make. Butler for his defense. Absolutely an argument you could make. And the big one that people will talk about is RJ, right? Richard Jefferson. Where is he? Is he a small forward? He might be a small forward, actually. Let me switch over to small forwards. I'm assuming he's on the first page. There he is. Like, general consensus best shooting guard in the game. And he is fantastic. But I'm having more success with Kobe. That's where I'm at. This card is free. So that's a whole other debate. That's not a debate I'm like having right now. Yeah, sure. RJ's better because he's free. He's slightly worse or slightly better than Kobe. But what I'm talking about is the best 5 or 10 players that are going to win you a game. All 3 players in TTO. And for me, I've got RJ, but I prefer Kobe. You know, I had Luka, but I sold him for Steph and it felt like an upgrade. It's so interesting, guys. And even getting into the crazy cards. You know, Taco I've played a few times. You've seen it. You've seen it in gameplays. I've never lost to this card. I'm running this Porzingis. And he can get stops on Taco. Because if you don't know how to use him, he's useless. Like I said, Taco in a comp player's hands, there is no two ways about it. But again, every tier list I see is geared at that 0.1%. None of us are those people. There might be 2 people watching this video who are actually at that level where they can get the most out of a card like Taco and make him unstoppable. Everyone I've played so far with this card has not been good with him and has not beat me yet. And like I said, I'm not comp. Just haven't beat me yet. That's just how it's gone. So we're just in a crazy world right now in terms of like what cards can be used and just how interesting it is. Like, if I create my lineup right now, it's probably going to look like this. Right? Anyone else would have Ben, MJ, or Luka there. No. Not me. Not right now. This Kobe just gets the job done for me. You can put RJ there. That's fine. I put RJ at the 3. My 3 at the moment is LeBron, who I've only just started using. Why is it not coming up? Alright, that's how we do it. I've only just started using, but his defensive animations are just insane. Insane. But if I wasn't using him, I'd use the card I was using before, which was Galaxy Opal Danny Ferry. I've got Giannis here, but it's the first time I've used a Giannis card all year. And again, it's just because I ran that gameplay video and just really liked these 3 cards and what they gave me. That's the only reason they're in. So I've got like a full hero lineup here. And then I've got Porzingis here. Now, I've got enough MT to go and get Yao, but I don't need him. I don't think he's going to win me any more games. I can get Yao or Taco. I don't think either of them are going to win me more games. I think it's going to come down to a skill gap between Porzingis and those cards. Porzingis isn't, 5 foot tall. He can compete. But that meta, that meta there is not the traditional meta. The traditional meta right now is probably this, right? Simmons, probably T-Mac now. Maybe Giannis in that position. Here you're probably looking at Invincible Giannis. Which one's the Invincible one there? Don't know who you'd look at a power forward at the moment. I mean, I've got Netaliki. He's probably still that guy to me just because of, like I said, because of the meta. That sets up 25 probably does put him there. And then you've got Yao, I guess. Or Taco. Let's go with Taco. So this would be like the consensus, or close to it, the consensus meta lineup in the game. And I've played teams like this. I've literally played lineups like this and absolutely cooked them with this team. Because I'm more comfortable with this team than this person is with that team. Because the reason they're running this team is because they've watched a few YouTube videos and they think it's the meta. Or they played the game last year or the year before and think it's the meta. It's not the meta, guys. There isn't one. It's down to you. I'm going to repeat it again. If you're comp, if you're 0.1%, you probably do need to run a lineup to this level. If you're not, run a lineup that you're comfortable with. And that's a great thing. That's something we should be embracing. If you're choosing to run cards you're not as good with. This Ben I did very little with. Okay, get me an occasional stop. But like I said, Oscar's getting me more stops. Yeah, he's the meta point guard. But for me, he's not a top 3 point guard in the game. I said it. I'll deal with the consequences. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I think this is a real compliment to 2K22. And I'd love to see this continue in years to come. Considering we're now a day away from June. And this is the conversation we're having where I'm having more success with a 6'3" point guard. I think it's just fantastic. It's fantastic. Long may it continue. That's the video, guys. Please like and subscribe. Until next time, thanks for watching.